Chakravalis Prakachantu Devata Sadhamam Rajas Sunantu Sakhamutam Dhammasavanakaru Padam Vadanta Dhammasavanakaru Padam Vadanta Dhammasavanakaru Padam Vadanta Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Idam Imasmin Dev Vyavamate Adevani Sanye Samanate Loka Panchate Loka Samdeyancha Loka Nirodancha Loka Nirodani Patisamanti. It is in this long body endowed with perception and mind that I proclaim the world, the origin of the world, the cessation of the world, and the way leading to the cessation of the world. Now, these words are, I'm quoting from the Rohitassa Sutta. Rohitassa Sutta appears in both the Anguttara Nikaya, and there is Rohitassa Sutta 1 and Rohitassa Sutta 2. And also it's in the Samyutta Nikaya. So it's a short sutta, very short sutta. But I think the meaning is very profound. And before I start on to mention something about the sutta, I think I should mention that we have had the 105th AGM of the Service of the Buddha just completed. And it was a very good meeting. And it's a very commendable achievement. When we read the reports, when I heard the reports, it's a very commendable achievement. And most recently, we had a meditation program once a month on the second Thursday of every month. And that's become very popular. I think we have had 2 meetings like that. And the third meeting, the second meeting, there has been a greater audience. And I heard from some who have attended that they benefited very much from that 1.5 hour. And they said, what that person said was, it's not possible for me to spend a day, but this 1.5 months there was very helpful, and it was very productive. So that way, this organization has done very well till 105 years. And I think for an organization to be there for 105 years is a very commendable achievement. And I see 2 reasons for this for an organization to be there for 105 years. One is strictly adhering to and not deviating from the objectives of the organization. It's extremely important. There are so many new things coming up. And there are so many, when an organization is successful, there are so many requests. But the important thing is that for an organization to continue, it's very important that we stick as far as possible to the objectives. As possible, not as far as possible, I think it's best to stick to the objectives. And the things, if the objectives has been there, the objective for 105 years, that means it has generations accepted that objective. And what's the objective? I see that the objective of the resource service of the Buddha according to the Constitution, is to promote the study and practice of Buddha Dharma. Promote the practice, the study of the Dharma, and the practice of Buddha. So now we have a greater client that through Zoom it's possible for outsiders also to listen to the Dharma. But the important thing is, as members of the organization, on this year, it's important that we study the Dharma and also we practice the Dharma. And just studying, as the mentioned in the Sambhasana Sutta, is very important word. I say that, it's not only understanding, it's not only knowing the thing, but practicing and experiencing that is what is important. It's not only just knowing things and that we saw all the professors of the university. There are so many universities in this country, all those professors would be arahants. The thing is, they know the Dharma. The knowing the Dharma is different from experiencing the Dharma. And most important for us as an organization is to promote and to see that we experience the Dharma. And some of the new programs that we have started, the meditation program and other things, are important because that helps the person to practice the Dharma. And not only that, because it's important that the most important thing is to have a Kalyana Mitra. Kalyana Mitra, now say the person, the bhikkhu is coming for the sermon, for the meditation classes, you can always ask questions personally, privately, if there are any problems that they have. And that's important. That's a Kalyana Mitra, the person who will say, these are problems that I have in my mind. I like to solve, I like to place it before you and get your advice on this. So that's the type of relationship that should develop with this type of meditation. That's how it was even during the time of the Buddha. It's not true that the Buddha just preached. And after there was a question that were asked from Buddha, and the reply of the Buddha to make it better. So I think the one important aspect of this organization, they're strictly adhering to and be not the object of the organization. And for which I have become the office bearers, the presidents, and who have been leading this organization for so many years. The other is the dedication of the members and its office bearers. The dedication is important. And I think that's also very important things. If they just think of the organization and just to meet a place where to meet once a month doesn't. No, the important thing is that dedication. I saw that in the annual report of this organization. There was dedication of all members and each and every person that one contribute. And that contribution, according to one's means, according to one's ability, can contribute and make that. So I think these are the two cardinal things that I see that in this organization for 5 years. And now we have members outside Sri Lanka, and then they also can contribute by listening to the Dharma, studying the Dharma, practicing the Dharma, and also to the extent possible to help the organization in all these activities. Now, one thing that why are we here? Since the Buddha spoke of beings, not only human beings. Sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta. Sabbe satta means every being. But now beings mean that animals, there is all those they are beings. So it's important that what are they doing? Since what is it that they want? All of them want happiness. That's what they tried at them. And then if you see even the minor, the bees or the ants or even, they want to have it, but that the first basic needs are there. So the basic needs are food. So you'll see everyone, every bee, Buddha said, Sabbe satta aharattatika, all beings, it's not humans. But the thing is, the humans start eating the other beings also. That's the problem. But that's another issue. That's something that you have to ask your own conscience as to whether I have a right to deprive the life of another being. So that's something that's personal to each person. As you go along the path, you should try to find out what is it, where am I standing? Have I the right to do this? We speak of human rights. Now, from recently, we have animal rights. So things are, are we honoring the rights of animals? Are we honoring the rights of all beings together? So these are things that we have to consider when we are on the way, on the path to liberation. So happiness is something that everybody asks for. They want something, and basically that is his food. And I think speaking of happiness, and there is the basic needs. I think many of you have heard of a person called Abraham Maslow. I know Abraham Maslow is a psychologist. He's in the last century, he was there. And his pyramid, he has a pyramid of achieve of one's happiness, how to achieve it. So hierarchy of events. So that hierarchy, you will see that the base it's called a pyramid, and at the base of that is food. So all of them wanted food. So that's once you get the food according to him, according to Maslow's theory, Maslow's pyramid, then they need something, food, water, their safety, their security, the security and stability. So that's why as human beings, they also, we think of security and stability. And then the third is your friends and family, that's the socialization. Social is important because we are a gregarious and human beings. So things you have, as bhikkhus, we have to be solitary. Thus, the Dhamma Sutta explains that we have like to be solitary, not to be together discussing, but as human beings, as persons in their life. But even as a bhikkhu, you get some kind of, if you're all alone, but the thing is, sabbe satta, and that is another thing. We are dependent on the others. We are dependent. So that relationship is there, dependence there. So that's there with the friends and family. And when a person is sick, especially, there is the friends, they make not much of it. And then the other thing is ST. When you get these things, the three, that's the basic needs, then you get your security, then you have your family and this thing. Then you want ST. People, that's about Maslow, they have the fulfillment. They like respect, achievement, your achievement, all those things. That gives greater happiness with that. And then in that pyramid, the top, the fifth is self-actualization. That your goals in life, whether that. And I read, although it's not in the pyramid itself, there is a sixth away from that. That's transforming yourself from your ascended from the soul here, from your perception of I and me. And that's interesting because from Buddhist point of view, it's not only it's a self-actualization that the self is there, but you have to reach the highest state of so that's what happens in the world. Everybody at every level, if a person is very poor, he does mean that he cannot lead the noble life. Actually, the poorest of the poor are the monks, because we have to live only with the 8 requisites. And the main thing, and the Buddha, even for 80 years, he didn't take much. He had his 8 requisites and traveled from place to place and reached the Dhamma. And it's all on food, even Venerable mind that came to Sri Lanka, the Devanamiti said, shall I send something? No, you go on you. So use the psychic powers, something, whatever it is. I have seen him, we now don't walk on. It's only the bus season that we are during the rainy season that we pose rather during that time. They are staying one place, it's raining, and there was some social aspect of it. So when one night, what happened? Rohitas, this Rohitas, he's a Navadeva. He came to Buddha and asked this question. He mentioned about his earlier life. And mentioned, and he happened to have the same life, the same name, Rohitas. But he was a rishi. He was a rishi with great psychic powers, And it is said that he can walk as fast because during that time there is archery and the speed of an arrow. There is an archer who is very trained and he sends an arrow. And then some say that it's possible for that person, when there's a flash of light, you can send it so that a hair could be split. So the ability of those people. So that fast. And then also his stride. Upon the sutta it is mentioned that one stride it is the western ocean, the other would be in the eastern ocean. That means one stride, this whole earth would be between one stride. So that this person, he wanted to go to the end of the world. So he had tiny powers. So he was thinking, all right, and he knew that he'll be living for 100 years, and he thought that he'll be that certain. And he started walking. And he said that he rested only for your personal ablutions and then taking some food. And also there is fatigue for him to rest. So during the rest of the time, we have been walking, you have been traveling. You have been traveling in the psychically. Walked to reach the end of the world. So that was his ambition. His ambition was to reach the end of the world. But it so happened that before he reached the end of the world or universal system, the solar system, he died. Now I like to ask this one question from everyone who are listening and everyone. Are we not all with us? We all have our ambitions. Some may have. All have ambitions, and that's why even retirement after retirement, you work and work and work and work, and you go on and on in search of happiness. In search of happiness, you do so many things. You have everything. But many times before you are able to fulfill all your needs, all your requirements, all what you have planned in your life. And if at the time of death, the person said, now have you fulfilled everything? Very few will say, I have fulfilled everything. I have still more to do. There's still more something to do. I have this, I have that. So it's the same thing. The Rohitasa started. He wanted to go to the end of the world. And started on that for 100 years. And you can imagine. So if you know, I just checked with how much they are spending now in NASA. They are spending, up to now, they have spent $650 billion, to just for this try to understand this world. And they have so many employees, 60,000 employees, and doing that. And they go on, and there's competition. So, all right, there is a record stronger than the other person. On the other hand, there is there is scientific knowledge, and there is so much development in that. But the point is that there is no end to that. What I want to say is, like what Rohit has started, he won't find an end. In the same way that many of our things in our life, what we can't find an end to it. In the sense we are still working on it. We are still trying to achieve this. But the thing is, so these are some things that we have to think of. Whether so are we all not with us as trying to look at an illusory happiness somewhere outside. Now, that's another aspect where the happiness that the achievement that you're trying to achieve is not within, but outside yourself. And this is something that normally that you do. And then when the question was raised by the Thero, the question was whether by traveling it is possible to get to the end of the world, into the Loka, The Buddha and replied, but by that time, he had a better idea. What is the world that he was thinking of? He was thinking of a world where there is no birth. He was thinking of reaching the end of the world to see that there would be no birth, no decay, that is no aging, where there is no death. That's the interesting word, the jayati, the jiyati, the niyati. And there is no passing away and being born again, there is samsaric life. So what was really like, what Rohita said now is, I think, as a neighbor, because of that, he asked this question: is it possible, Venerable Sir, from the Buddha, by traveling, could you do that? Then the Buddha said, the reply was, I say, friend, now we say also. Now also in Pali means friend. Now the Buddha, at that time they were calling each other also. But later on, the Buddha said, after my demise, call the senior people Bhante. Now the Bhante is, we call a senior person Bhante. The Bhante will call me an also. If he's senior to me, I'm a friend, also. So here says, the Buddha says, also, your friend. By traveling, one cannot know, see, or reach that end of the world. So one cannot reach by traveling, where one is not born, does not grow old and die, not pass away and get reborn. So it was a direct question that was asked by Rohitas, and it was a very direct answer. So the question was, is it possible when traveling? Is it possible for me to reach the place, the end of the world, end of Loka, that where there is no death, no aging, and no birth, no thsi? He said, no, it's not. You can't. So with Buddha, he was extremely happy about this. Because, he experienced, he was trying to do that, but he failed. While when the Buddha himself replied, the first reply itself, he was abundantly happy that the Buddha, the Buddha's reply. And then also the Buddha did not stop there. The Buddha also said that without reaching the end of the world, you can't get to this place where there is no death and no sin. So that means, where is this? And he says, in this very long body. In this rather long body, I see the world. I see the world. I see the world in this rather long body. I know. The thing is, the outside world is the world that you have seen with your senses. And each one of us here in the audience will have a different concept of the world. We know that the Himalayas are there, but with the experience, what we have experienced with our six senses, we have a concept of what we think as the world. And that's what it is. But the Loka is something, if it's outside, we can't control that. We can't control the outside world. On the other hand, we, to some extent, we could, but not to the extent that we want the way that we want, but we change certain things. But so because the man experienced that Rohitas, he was so happy with this. And then the Buddha, as I said, the world is not, the end of the world is not outside, but in this very fathom-long body. And that's something that we have to realize. We have to understand that just saying that, the what you call learning the Dharma, and that's why I said learning the Dharma, knowing the Dharma, and experience the Dharma are two different things. So we see that yes, the one men say, why did the Buddha say that the world is in this body? And here again, the Loka, the word Loka, and there are so many sutras where in the Tipitaka where the word Loka has been analyzed. And in one place it says, Dukkhe Loka Pakiti. That Dukkhe Loka, that the world is based on Dukkha. Now, if you just understand that in the external world, it happened, our scholars of 1 century, last century, they were saying, okay, if the world is based on suffering, it's a very pessimistic religion. Buddhism is very pessimistic because if everything is suffering and dukkha is everywhere, what's this? And that whole that understanding or the wrong understanding of that Buddhism is pessimistic is based on this type of thing where when the Buddha said Loka, and whereas Loka is outside the world, is based on suffering and then understanding that. But on the other hand, if you say, if the Loka is there in this fathom-long body, and when you understand and you realize that dukkha upapadityo, that this particular samsaric life that we have is based on suffering, then we see something more in his words. And let's take, I thought of looking at it, what dukkha is. Now, if you stay, the dukkha, the best definition of dukkha by the Buddha is in Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, the first sutta of the Buddha, where he analyzed what dukkha was. And according to that, the Buddha was saying that jhana birth is suffering. Now, birth is suffering. So that you can interpret that in different ways. But when you say it's because we are born that we have to face all these, the good and the bad, the Ashtaloka Dharma, everything that we have to face is because we are born. If we are not born, we don't face the Ashtaloka Dharma. It's very logical. As we are born, as human beings, we face Loka, Labha, Alabha, Sukha, Labha, Alabha, Aisvarya, Suracha, Ninda, Prasansa, Sukhancha, Dukkha. So these are the 8 vicissitudes of life. And all of us have these 8, we face these 8 vicissitudes of life. And why? Is because we are born. If we are not born, or if you have become arahant or something, we don't experience some of these. Not all. Some we have to experience physical death and everything we experience. So jhana dukkha, dara dukkha. Jara means aging. Aging is not so pleasant. So that's why if it's very pleasant, we don't try to hide our age. How much of attention we use to hide our age. So as we age, we like to hide our age. We like to see youthful because we like always to be youthful as youth. But then we have passed that age. We are now in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, like that. And as you know, mentally, physically, everything's changes happen. So although we try to hide, we try to see, tell people, oh no, I'm still the youth. I can't say that because I find that my body doesn't allow me to be a youth. So this is something that even if I have my head, all those changes are missing. So that's so jara vidukha, vyadi vidukha, the time when we fall sick, we break down, we break down, many of us. Then at that time, the happiness that we have, when you see someone close by talking to us, and that's a Buddha mentioned that, to the other bhikkhus, when you see a person, sick person, go and speak to that person. Don't make him, feel alone. You see the Bojjhanga Sutta, Bojjhanga Bodhyanga, to the Buddha himself, the Chunda Thero Bojjhanga was by Venerable Chunda to Buddha, because he was although he was Arahant, the Buddha, he was very positive at that time. He was very sick. And so was Moggallana, so was Mahapasava. They have all realized. But the thing is, at that particular time, reflecting, now that's interesting, reflecting, taking the mind away from one's own sickness, just thinking of your sickness. But if you take your mind off to the Bodhyanga or to something else, when a person comes in the hospital and you see them, then there is some kind of happiness because there's always things that is all alone. So these are things. So what jati dukkha, jara dukkha, marana dukkha, apyehi payogo dukkha. Yes, apyehi sampayogo dukkha. Apyehi sampayogo. If you don't like a person, if that person is with you, you have to associate with him, you have to live with him or her. But the thing is, when you don't like that person, then there is sadness. A person you like, he passes away, he's sick, then you are sad. So this, what the Buddha says, yam ichha nalabhatim tam. If you wish for something, and if you don't get it, you are sad. Now, may I ask this question, whether always they are in the outside world or in yourself? In the outside. So that's like when the Buddha said, dukkha is this. Dukkha, jati dukkha, jara dukkha, vyadi dukkha, marana dukkha, apye sampayoga dukkha, apye vipayoga dukkha, yam vicharana atitampi dukkha. So all these factors of dukkha is with each person. Each person has experienced dukkha. So this is why, if you accept that position, if you accept the position that dukkha is within you, and that's the Loka, your Loka. My Loka, you can say my Loka is what I have developed also with me. My reading, my experiences, my traveling, my going meeting people, all those things is my world. And it's with that world. Also, you have your own, dukkha is also with you. So when you say dukkha, loko patitita, if you think of the outside world, then you think, that logically, that loka is in one's body, oneself. And that's this, and that's why panchupadana khanda dukkha. And that's why the Buddha completes by saying, this is the Panchupadana, Panchakanda is Panchupadana, it's grasped by the Pandits. Now that's where in this reply of the Buddha, he says, Sasanya, that's the first word, Sanya, Sasanya, that is this body with perception and mind, mind. So that says you can have a dead body here. Now, dead body doesn't have perception, nor does it have a mind. So they don't feel that. But a body, a person with perception, the sanya, sanyami, samana, and with mind. So that is a living person. In him I see sorrow, dukkha. And if you accept that position, accept that position, that dukkha is there within with you, it's very logical. The consequential logical is that the cause for dukkha is with oneself. The cause for dukkha. So what happens sometimes is in studying the Dhamma, we look for solution outside. We think it's outside. We even learn the Eightfold Path as outside. Not that the Nibbana is yourself. Nibbana you reach, each person reach Nibbana. Not that the world reach Nibbana. Each person Nibbana. And in reaching the Nibbana, each person has to practice the Eightfold. The practice is involved. That your practice will not satisfy my the thing is you can assist. You can assist someone. As Kalyana has said, to assist someone, there's a question. But I think each person has to go on his own path and reach that. And this is what the Buddha, this whole Sutta, what he mentioned was this. Logically now we understand it. Dukkha is within him. And if that is the Loka, that is the world, then your cause for that dukkha. Your cause for that is your what you call craving. The craving is your craving. The defilements are those defilements within you. And the defilements in each person are not the same. Some persons have more defilements than the other because they have developed. The developments are there. So mental development, along with that mental development, you go along that path to the path. So this is something that we have to be understanding, this very short sutta, that this world, everything, the Buddha has only one, as all of us know, that one taste. When you read the sutta, when you read the Psalm, any kind of discourse, you should remember that the Buddha replied a person because he had an immediate question and replies that. But the thing is, the whole thinking of with compassion, the Buddha wants first to believe that person with sorrow. But sorrow consider this graduation, gradual path to Nibbana. Dana kata, sila kata, sangha kata. People can give. So we start with giving. And then you develop your virtue. See that, forms of sila, virtue. Dana kata, sila kata. Then sangha kata. The sangha kata is heaven. Each person wants to be happy. If you do these good things, you are happy. If you do wrong things, the hell is there. So the good and bad, all those things, sangha kata. Then when the mind is malleable, mind is something that absorbed by this, then the Buddha spoke on the Samukhansipata place. Now that's a final, where I can reach. The mind is set, the mind is there to receive the Buddha's word. So all we can do is we are doing that as serves the Buddha, is to create that environment. And if one thinks that we can create that environment by listening to the Dhamma in Zoom, I don't. Because it's very important that we see this, we experience this. It's just not listening and learning the Dhamma. It's good if you want to learn the Dhamma, that's one way of learning. You can take your Dhamma notes and everything and learn the Dhamma. It's important. Because learning the Dhamma, Pariyatti Sasana is extremely important. Because if you don't know the Dhamma, Pariyatti, the Patipatti that you're doing on this path, there will be various problems that you will follow, you will face with. So it's important that you learn the Dhamma, but don't stop at that as we do. As the motto of this organization says, that we have to study the Dhamma and to share in the practices of the Dhamma. So the cosmological experience with this fathom body is that the final solution to all this is with us. We have to practice the Dhamma. And then it is something that all of us has to remember. I think we have spent this organization 105 years, very commendable. And now, and also we have gone one step further, helping people with their problems, meditation and everything. And so what we are doing is the highest gift, what these organizations given the highest gift. The Buddha says, Samadhanam, Dhammadhanam Chinati. So that's the highest that we are giving. Give it, in a way that there is, sometimes there's so much of confusion in the minds of people. So there is a very important role that the service of Buddha has to play, because there are so many, what do you call it, broadcasting stations, social, every time each person has his own personal view on things. And the most important thing is to understand the Dhamma in such a way with the what did the Buddha mention, or why did he say utter this way? I was thinking now, Sir Manake. Now, if you say that particular rather than Sir Manake, you say Samanake. Now, Samana is a name is Samanake. You would say what is it? Samanake is Samana. That's preaching. But that's where the Pali, even the pronunciation of where it's important. Sir Manake, Sir is with Mana, with the mind. So then you understand this in a different way. So these are things that we have serving Buddha. We have a great role to play, and we have been doing that for how many years? 5 years. Challenges are more in the future with the AI, artificial intelligence, and some channel, the chat or something that people can ask you the question and their replies, and you are influenced by that. Children are influenced by that. Is that the correct thing? And once you take the wrong path to get the person to the right path is very difficult. Very difficult. And that's why children has to be guided properly. The youth have to be guided properly. And the children and youth are not guided properly. And if they take the wrong path, to get back to the right path, it's not an easy thing. And so that's why Vajiraramaye, as Buddha said, that parents are extremely important. So there is so much in this sutta, as I said. It's a very short sutta. You can say, yes, with this one, the God body, there is this thing, and finish off. No, there is much depth in this sutta. Because here, the whole Dhamma is there. And finally, your final goal of daily Nibbana, Arahantasa, is with each one of you. So I think that I spent enough time. We're all tired now. So if there are any questions, I'll try to answer that if I hear correctly. So with that, I will end my Dhammadesana, and I hope that the next 160 or 150 side, that this will remember the Rohit Sutta.